In relation to world affairs and world history, the written history of the town of Ingersoll pales in comparison. It's just a little minuscule hair on the full history of the world. And yet, the little town of Ingersoll can lay claim to having a world record in relation to one individual who lived here in the 1800s. This is the story of Charles McCue. This is Stone Secrets. Charles McCue was born in the 1700s in Northern Ireland, and at the early age of 18 he followed his father in being initiated into Freemasonry. Charles was enlisted with the Irish Yeomanry, which is a kind of a military cavalry unit based as part of the British Army stationed in Ireland. 1798, he saw a great deal of action during the Irish Rebellion of that year, especially in his home county of Antrim, where one of the battles put the Irish Yeomanry, this British regiment, in face of 4,000 Irish rebels. And the yeomanry managed to stave off the attacks and quell the rebellion. Over the next few years, they remained in Ireland, but in 1834, that British unit was disbanded, and so Charles and his wife Margaret and their large number of children packed everything up and moved to Durham Township, just south of Ingersoll. And there they farmed for the remainder of their life. But on the third concession, lot number 8 and 9, Charles and then his son Robert, another son William, all were farmers in that area just outside of Mount Elgin. In 1862, Charles approached the local lodges in Ingersoll and asked to be affiliated to become a member of St. John's Lodge number 68 here in Ingersoll. And so dutifully examined, the secretary of the local lodge contacted the Grand Lodge of Ireland, got all the necessary paperwork to show that Charles had been properly initiated and had risen through the initial early levels of Freemasonry and was a suitable candidate to be affiliated with St. John's Lodge. So that was duly done in 1862. Apparently, according to lodge minutes, the last time he actually visited the lodge was the following year in July of 1863. 3 years later, he became an honorary member of the lodge, so he no longer had to pay annual dues or fees to be a member of the lodge. So they bestowed on him that honor. By this point, he was over 100 years old. Right? Bear in mind, he was born in the 1750s, initiated in 1775, came to Canada 1837, joined the St. John's Lodge 1862, On April 1st of 1867, his wife Margaret passed away. So it seems that longevity kind of seemed to run in the family genes here. But they had both been living on the farm, still working until he was about 100 on the farm. And when Margaret passed away, Charles moved into Ingersoll and spent the remainder of his years living here and being a regular attendee of St. James Anglican Church. Where he was born in Ireland, he was baptized in the Anglican Church, and so that further cemented his involvement with the yeomanry in quelling the Irish Rebellion. This was the Anglicans and the British trying to put a stop to the Protestant and Catholic Irish movements to overturn British rule and establish their own parliament and their own form of government. But that's a whole other story. So in May of 1870, Brother Charles McCue passed to the Grand Lodge above at the ripe age of 112 years, 10 months, and 7 days. He was in his 113th year. Yes, you heard me correctly, 113. So we should all wish to perhaps live that long and still maintain all of our faculties. Apparently, he enjoyed good health up until a few days before his passing. The only thing that started to suffer was a bit of his eyesight and his hearing. Former congregants of St. James would relate afterwards that their memory of Charles McCue was he would stand in the front pew with his ear cupped so that he could hear every word that was being preached by the ministers. So he was laid to rest here in Ingersoll Rural Cemetery with full Masonic honors. Newspaper reported that there were brethren from far and wide came to pay their last offices of sad respect to this departed brother. And his gravestone is somewhat unique in most of this cemetery. It's one of the few that actually have the symbols of his Masonic apron, the flap and the tassels, and then the angel and broken pillars signifying the end of life. The two columns from King Solomon's temple, and the square and compasses as one of the Masonic symbols at the very top. Laid to rest here in 1870. 1967, the Brethren of St. John's Lodge took it upon themselves to erect this large granite cairn as a monument to Brother McCue. Some of the family members participated in the unveiling. His great-granddaughter, Mrs. Joe Poole, participated, as did a great-great-granddaughter, 3-year-old Barbara Nanskivel. And continued in this state up until recently. The mortar was beginning to fail, so the members of St. John's Lodge paid to have all of the granite work repointed, and it is being rededicated in June of 2023 to again continue the legacy and the memory of Brother Charles McCue, who, by the way, was considered the world's oldest Freemason. So Ingersoll, a small little town, but on the world stage has played different roles. This is one small little story where a citizen of Ingersoll gets the record for being the world's oldest practicing Freemason on the globe. This is Stone Secrets.